One relatively common type of problem is to find the equation of a line based on some given information. And in this case, the information that's given is the coordinates of two different points. And so whenever I see the words find the equation of the line, I automatically go to this formula, the point slope form, which is y minus y1 is equal to the slope times parentheses x minus x1. And in this equation, these three quantities, x1 and y1, are numbers. They're the coordinates of a point, and m is the slope, and it's also a number. However, x and y are variables, and they remain as variables in the equation. So what we're aiming to do is to replace x1, y1, and m with numbers, and that will allow us then to have an equation with x and y. The information that we're given, well, there's no problem in finding the coordinates of a point. We actually have 2 points, but we're not given the value for slope. And so what we need to do is to use these 2 points and first find that value of slope. So I'm going to use the slope equation. Slope is equal to y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. And if we call this our first point and this our second point, we can then plug in those coordinates into the equation. So y2 is equal to 2. y1, so we got a subtraction here from the formula. y1 is equal to a negative 4, so we have to be a little careful here. Whole thing divided by x2, which is positive 3, minus from the equation, and x1, which is a negative 1. And so when we carry out these operations, 2 minus a negative 4 gives us a positive 6. 3 minus negative 1 gives us a positive 4, because subtracting the negatives is equivalent to adding the positives. And we can reduce this fraction to 3/2. Now that we have our slope, we're ready to plug in some numbers, and we can choose either of the 2 points to use for the coordinates of x1 and y1. And for myself, I tend to prefer points that have positive coordinates over ones that have negative ones. So I'm going to choose the point 3, 2 for the point that I use to plug into the point slope form of the equation. So substituting those values, I get y minus, and then the value of y1 is equal to positive 2. And that's equal to the slope, which is 3/2 times this expression x minus x1, so that's going to be x minus, and then x1 is given to be positive 3. So I'll simplify this equation by distributing the slope, the 3/2. So I've got 3/2 times x, and then minus 3/2 times a positive 3. Well, the numerators, I can think of 3 times 3 as being in the numerator, so that gives us a 9. But then 2 times 1 in the denominator is 2. And on the left-hand side, I have y, and I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So if I simplify this, I get y is equal to 3/2 x. And now I need to add these 2 terms, they're like terms, and I'm going to build to a least common denominator of 2 in the denominator. So I've got negative 9 plus 4 in the numerator, so that's going to give me a negative 5 in the numerator divided by 2. And this is the slope-intercept form of the equation. We are expressing it as y is equal to mx plus b, where the slope is 3/2 and b, the y-intercept, is negative 5/2.